Hi everybody, I'm Shelley Nadel and welcome to Food and Finance with Shelley. This is my home kitchen. Let's be clear, I am not a professional chef. I am instead a certified financial planner who loves to cook. And I am very passionate about helping people be financially literate and control what happens to their money rather than money controlling them. We are going to cook some really fun recipes with great ingredients. And along the way, we're gonna give you some financial tips so you can walk away with lots of good food to make and some better ways to handle your finances. So there's gonna be two overall themes in all of our food and finance shows. The first one regarding cooking is that I want you to use unique ingredients. I want you to use ingredients that really are from your flavor palette, and I want you to be flexible and creative. And if you need help, go to the experts. I'm an addict to Food Network and my New York Times cooking subscription, so there's nothing wrong with getting recipes from chefs and then making them your own. In the same way, I want you to be flexible and creative with your finances. And I want you to adjust to the times, adjust to the situation you're in, and not be locked into something rigid. And when you need help, ask an expert, a financial advisor, financial planner, who is a fiduciary, very important. We need to act in your best interest. And today I'm gonna be teaching you how to be your own fiduciary, whether it's in the kitchen with the quality ingredients you use, or whether it's with your finances and the long-term strategies that you use. So let's go on and get started. Today we are going to make some pasta dishes, and the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to teach you how to make homemade pasta. And here's the thing, guys, homemade pasta, fresh pasta, only has two ingredients, and one of those ingredients is this lovely flour. It's called double O flour. If you can't find this in your stores, you certainly can use all-purpose flour. I would recommend using a better quality flour. And all we're gonna do is put eggs in it. Isn't that amazing? Imagine all the stuff when you go to the store, even the fresh pasta. This is just eggs and flour. So I am going to crack the eggs. We're going to put 2 whole eggs in here. Whoops, got a shell. Of course, we always get a shell. Crunchy pasta, not the worst thing in the world. So we're gonna stick it there. Oh, and by the way, this is my garbage bowl. Hint from Rachel Ray taught me this. Put all of your stuff in the garbage bowl, and at the end, we'll put it in the compost pile. So, we're keeping the simple ingredients. And in the same way that your food needs to be simple whole ingredients, you want your financial plan to be simple. And you don't want it to be overcomplicated. So now I'm gonna throw in 3 egg yolks, like this, and dump it in the garbage bowl, put it in the compost afterwards. And so for example, we had a new client come in, and he and his wife were, wanting some financial planning, and they had 18 financial accounts, 5 checking and savings at 2 different banks. They had old retirement plans all over the country, literally, some all over the world. And it was ridiculous. They had no idea what they had no idea what to do with it. So what we do in planning is we try to bring everything together, all the accounts together, and consolidate them, leverage them. So keep your food simple, keep your financial planning simple. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna start mixing the dough, and we're gonna go from the inside out. So notice how I just literally am going in circles, and maybe do a little faster here to get the egg yolks broken up. And the proportions here are about 2 cups of the flour to the 2 eggs and 3 egg yolks. Now I will tell you that I usually want a little more liquid in mine, and when I do that, you can either add like a tablespoon of water, or you can add another egg. So notice how it gets kind of crumbly and it's starting to fold together, and I'm going to take that off the fork and I'm going to start using my hands. So you're going to have to get your hands nice and messy. Now what I'm going to do is I'm now going to take this out of the bowl. I'm going to start kneading it, and basically you're going to knead this dough for about 5 minutes. And notice what I mean, it's literally how you do bread. You take it, you flip it, you use the palm of your hand, you push it, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna wrap it. And the recipe says wrap it in plastic wrap, but in keeping with our philosophy of natural ingredients and being ecologically responsible, I am going to wrap it in a dish towel. We're gonna put it aside at room temperature, and we're gonna come back to this in about 30 minutes. And I'm gonna show you how to make the most delicious fresh pasta. There is a warning though, once you eat this, you are never gonna want to buy pasta in the store again. So our next cooking adventure is we are going to make homemade pasta sauce. Don't be intimidated by the word homemade, okay? It sounds really a lot more complicated than it is. What it just means is you get to get involved and kind of dig your fingers in cooking. In the same way as don't get intimidated by homemade food, you don't want to get intimidated by a financial strategy. So oftentimes people will let fears get the best of them, and so they're not going to make good decisions. I have a new client, and she is recently divorced, and so she got some money in the divorce settlement from her husband, and she reached out to us. She was very concerned about what to do with the money and really didn't have any ideas. And we were able to sit down and help her come up with a concrete plan. So that's something, her fears were letting her not make good financial decisions, and we came in and were able to plan with her and really sit down and strategize, and she is so much happier now. She gave me a huge hug when she left the office and said, I am so happy we're working together. Now I'm gonna show you a trick about cutting an onion. We've got some chopped up here, but I'm gonna show you something. And I am an onion crier. So my son, who was in college, he taught me this trick. And, you know, I'd like to say it came from a famous chef, but it came from my 21-year-old in school. So what I do is I cut, but notice I cut off that little end thing, but not the root. Okay, I keep the root on. And then I cut the wedges, but I don't go all the way to the end. And then I'm going to cut in the middle like this, but I'm not gonna go all the way to the end. Now be careful with your fingers, sharp knives. And then I'm going to just go through like this. And what this turns out looking like is beautiful diced onions, just what you want. So we're going to dump these into the pan. Oh, listen to that sizzle. See, now you know it's hot, but it's not on high heat. So now we know it is getting ready. And I'm going to toss a few more of the onions I already had prepared. And honestly, I'm not measuring them. I'm just because I love onions and olive oil, so we're just gonna dump a bunch of them in. We're gonna add some fresh zucchini and some fresh yellow squash. So I'm gonna cut it in half to avoid getting too big of a piece, so I'm gonna cut. I'm gonna slice it in half like that, so that's a quarter. And then I'm going to go here and I am just going to slice, careful my fingers there. Okay, that wasn't the neatest thing I've ever done, but it's okay. This is my kitchen, so I don't have to be neat, right? So that, notice how we dice the zucchini like that big. If you want them in smaller pieces, I'll show you with the squash, I'll show you a little bit smaller piece. So notice I'm cutting like this, and if I wanted to, I could actually cut through here, and then I could make these even smaller. So really, it's total personal preference. And, you know, honestly, I just kind of dump enough vegetables in until I like it a lot. Whoops, can't forget garlic, the elixir of life. I live, eat, and breathe garlic, so, which is kind of funny. I guess people don't want to be around me when I live, eat, and breathe garlic too much. So I'm gonna show you how I get garlic ready. So this is a clove, okay? Watch what I'm doing. I'm gonna use the palm of my hand, and I'm gonna brush it, I'm gonna push it down, and then cut the ends off. Onions are good. We're now going to dump in this garlic. Recipe called for 1 teaspoon. Let's just say that's a few more than 1 teaspoon. We're gonna add in some oregano and some red pepper. And this is important, you need to always put salt in. The recipe calls for a pinch of salt, so this is about a pinch. I'm gonna put in a little, just a teeny bit more. We're gonna add in some tomato paste here. And the recipe calls for a tablespoon. And honestly, these little jars, you can't really do much with them afterwards. And so I just dump a little bit of extra tomato paste in because why not? It's my spaghetti sauce. Who's gonna tell me I can't do it? So, we get that out. We're gonna stir that in. Go like this. So, we've got the tomato and the onions. They're all smelling delicious. So, we are now going to add the rest of the ingredients. And I'm actually gonna throw in a few fresh peppers, okay? And let me dice those really quickly. So I'm just adding these in. These actually aren't in the recipe, but I'm adding them in because they add a nice little bit of crunch and they make it healthier with the vegetable. And we've already said it's my kitchen, I can put whatever the heck I want in my sauce, right? But who doesn't love fresh peppers, the beautiful colors? And I try to, when I'm cooking, I try to make sure that there's lots of colors and variety because, you know, I got a husband who's a meat and potatoes guy, right? Doesn't like the vegetables, so this is my way of tricking him to eat vegetables. And now I'm going to add the, these are whole peeled tomatoes, okay? And the reason you want these, you can do the chopped ones, but these have liquid in them. Listen to that, isn't that amazing? They have liquid in them, and we're going to, as the sauce cooks, we're going to break down the liquid. The recipe calls for fire roasted red peppers. You can actually fire roast peppers really easily. All you do is cut up fresh peppers, and then you could even use these if you wanted to. And you could drizzle them with a little olive oil, salt, and pepper. You can put them on the stove, you can put them on the grill, and just till they blacken. That's literally fire roasted. Or you can use crushed tomatoes that are fire roasted. So those are all substitutes For this, we're gonna dump these in. So you notice they blend in, but they add just a little bit of extra red, a little bit brighter red. And then we are going to add mushrooms. Now, we talked about not being intimidated by homemade options, and then we talked about not being intimidated by your finances. I want you to look at that, and I mean, what's intimidating about this? This took me 15 minutes. I just want to encourage you to try it, because I gotta tell you, this sauce tastes so good when it's nice and cooked. So everything is looking really pretty, but I want a little more color here, so I am going to put a whole bunch of zucchini and yellow squash. So now you'll see I'm not really measuring it, I'm just grabbing a bunch, but you know, just put in kind of to the taste of your audience. All right, I think that's probably a little bit more. And this is one of those things, I don't cook with zucchini and squash that often, it's not my favorite, but in something like this, you just end up eating vegetables without even realizing it. And I'm going to taste this sauce. One of the things I learned on the cooking channel is that you taste as you go. Oh my gosh, that is so good. It is perfect. I'm not adding any more salt to it. I am telling you, you're gonna walk past the spaghetti sauce in the store and never get it again. So we're back to our fresh pasta. Now remember, we mixed the dough. It only has 2 very simple quality ingredients. It's been sitting for at least 30 minutes at room temperature. I don't recommend you refrigerate it. And now we're going to roll it out. And I am sure you are just like, many of you are just like me, in that the idea of making fresh pasta dough just was way over the top intimidating. We talked about that earlier, not to be intimidated by fresh foods and not to be intimidated by finances. So now I'm gonna show you how ridiculously easy it is to make your own fettuccine. We're gonna make fettuccine today, just because I happen to like fettuccine. So I went to Amazon, of course, because I didn't want to, 1, it was during the pandemic, and 2, I just didn't want to buy something real expensive, and I got this for like 30 bucks, I think. I mean, ridiculously cheap. So I'm gonna put, this is getting it, as it gets a little sticky, so let me show you how I do each piece. So I'm gonna coat it with the flour. Remember that flour? You can also use semolina flour if you want. So I am going to be adjusting the thickness as I go. So I'm going to roll it through really fast, and then I'm gonna make it thinner and thinner. I'm gonna do this about 7 times. So let me show you. And let's do 2 more rounds. So we've got this, and now it's getting really thin. And now how you know when it's thin enough is you can see the outline of your hand. So actually, you can see, we're almost there. Last one. It's a little unwieldy, but you can do it. I mean, look how easy this is. You know when you buy this in the store and it's cost ridiculous amount of money? Well, now we're halfway to our fresh pasta. Okay, so now it's all rolled out. We're gonna lay it here. Notice how you can actually see the hand there. I'm gonna take this hand crank. Now, by the way, this is great if you're trying to build those Michelle Obama arms. Nothing better than a hand crank pasta machine. So we're gonna stick it in. And want to make sure you have brackets with it, because otherwise it's going to move a lot. So look at this, guys. Homemade fettuccine. Okay, now I've learned the hard way. I'm going to stop it halfway through, and I'm going to drape it right there. Okay? I'm going to keep going. Whoops. Now, this one's a little thicker. I normally make it, but that's okay. It's got a little bit gunky, but so we're gonna separate, we're gonna let it dry out, and I'm gonna make the rest of the pasta and maybe add a little more flour to it. So, just to retrace, this is 2 ingredients, eggs and flour. This machine maybe cost me 25, 30 bucks on Amazon. Hand crank, you get fresh pasta, and you get great arms too. But to finish that pasta sauce first, we need to add some more vegetables. So we're going to put in spinach and basil. I get baby spinach, just because I like baby spinach better. We're gonna stick it in here. And honestly, it says like half a pound, 3 cups, whatever. Spinach cooks down really small. I'm just going to toss this spinach in here. A little messy, but that's okay. It'll cook down really fast. And then I'm going to put the basil in as well. So, and notice how I'm coating the spinach. This is actually the perfect size for this pot. Okay, everything cooked down nicely, but we didn't overfill it. And just like you don't overfill your pot, you don't want to overdo your investment strategies. And you hear diversification all the time. We have a great diversified selection of ingredients in our pasta sauce, and you want to diversify in the different types of places you put your money. But you don't want to diversify so much that nothing is working together, nothing is leveraged. I mentioned the gentleman who had the 18 accounts when they came in, the couple who came to talk to us. That is too much diversification. So just like you don't want to overfill your pots, you don't want to overfill your financial strategy with too many different types of investments, just a few core strategies, and investing, saving, protection, legacy planning. Make sure you've got elements in those, and then the rest of it, you'll be fine. To finish it off, keep a little bit of bright green. Isn't that beautiful too? Look at the colors. We have the tomatoes, the different colors. We have the squash, the orange peppers. This really is a gorgeous meal, and half of eating is just the appearance of it, right? So if you have a dish that looks pretty, people are more likely to want to eat it. We've got some fresh basil here, and we're going to grab a few of the leaves, and there's lots of ways you can do this. You can cut it up and chop it. Honestly, I just use scissors. I think they're easier, and they make it a lot faster, and you don't have to grab a knife to do anything. This sauce, this beautiful homemade pasta sauce, is done. Last thing is we are going to cook our fresh pasta. So we've been talking the whole day about flexibility and ease of cooking. Remember how easy our pasta was. So we got eggs and flour, mixed them together, let it sit, let it rest. Then we used this is just our handy dandy old fashioned pasta roller. You can get a fancy one maybe, but this one works really well. And then we hung it on our pasta tree. So now what I'm gonna do, this pasta's been drying for a little bit, so it's nice and easy to put in the pot. And I have salted the water, okay? You can also put a little oil in it if you want, but you don't need to. So I'm gonna start dropping this in. And fresh pasta cooks in about 3 minutes, 2 minutes actually, depending on how big your pot is. Pasta is now just about ready to take out of the pot. Now I could drain it on the stove, but honestly, I'm just gonna turn the heat off and I'm going to let it, look at that, lovely, lovely, a little clump there, it's okay, it'll taste great. And what I'm doing by not draining it is I'm keeping some of the pasta water clean better. I'm just going to spoon it over. Oh my gosh, does that look gorgeous or what? That is a feast for the eyes, and I guarantee you a feast for the stomach. All right, so that's our pasta. We're just gonna finish that off with what every good Italian dish has to have, which is Parmesan cheese. And I'm just gonna grab a handful and I'm gonna sprinkle. Awesome. Our themes. Our food theme today, we repeated over and over again, has been unique, has been flexible, creative cooking with fresh ingredients. You know, knowing what you're cooking, knowing actually the ingredients, you understand the terms. And when you don't know how to do something, making fresh pasta, what do? You consult an expert. Beautiful pasta dishes are a result. Same thing in your finances. Your financial story is unique. Nobody else has one just like you. So you need to be flexible, you need to be creative, and you need to be open about new ideas, new ingredients in cooking, new ideas in finance. And when you need help, just like you consult people for cooking ideas, or you go to the doctor if you're sick, go to a professional. Make sure they have your best interests at heart. Make sure they're a fiduciary. And remember, in the end, no one else is gonna look after your best interests more than you are. So, I want to wish you good cooking. I definitely want to wish you good eating. And we'll be back soon with another edition of Food and Finance. Thank you for coming into my kitchen, and we'll see you soon. Bye. Oh my God, it's real good. I always thought that was corny when they did that on like the Shell shows. That's exactly, you have to say that. I mean, it's so good.